He's a young guy who understands their package. He's done a really good job with it since they came in. So he's done a good job, and I don't know. He was playing even early in the season. They've been playing two guys the whole time, and it's like one is a little bit more running. Whoever the backup is at the time seems to carry the ball a little bit more, and I think he's done a good job since he's been in there.
I know we've heard a lot about tackling since the last game, but how tough is it to work on tackling now that there's more restrictions on how much you can do that in practice each week?
I think you can work on tackling without tackling all the time. You can work on the different areas of it. Okay, hey, our leverage is bad. Why is our leverage bad? Well, I took my drop, my eyes don't get on course, and I have bad leverage there. How can I scrape and get tight off a block, or how can I do this, or even breaking down the fundamentals where it's just me and you. Okay, I'm gonna go in your eyes and thighs, I'm wrapping and squeeze, those kind of things, and you can do some of that stuff. So we've worked on those fundamentals, but also, yes, very much so, we've tackled quite a bit, when we've had a chance to.
How much have you guys game playing for Alex Delton?
We have it in. It's a deal where since he's played quite a bit, you got to kind of take that into account, and especially the last couple of weeks they've had little packages for him where he's gonna play at some point. How much, who knows? That's their question. We just kind of play who comes in, and we have you have your package for a running quarterback and a non-running quarterback, and how much we're going to see him. We'll see.
Do you feel like his time here kind of benefits with your guys knowing his skill sets and things like that?
I think it could go both ways. You could argue to say that he knows our personnel very well too. So if I'm reading a defensive end and I think I can outrun that guy because I've seen him in practice 75 times do the same thing, it might benefit him at the same time. So it goes both ways. He knows us, and our guys know him. So I think it helps both sides.
For scout team purposes, who is it that serves as that running team scout guy?
Right now we're using Ryan Hennington. He's a guy that can run around a little bit, and he's got a little bit of juice to him. So he's been doing a good job for us.
They've been a little up and down, maybe more up lately offensively, but what have teams done to have success against them? And then when TCU's playing well offensively, what do they do?
I think it's really on the quarterback stuff. People who actually get after that guy a little bit. You know what I mean? Whoever it is, it doesn't matter. They're not comfortable standing in there if they have to stand in there a little bit. And it's more. Listen, the receivers are good, man. They got some speed. They got speed all over the field, and their backs are good. So it's not. Their personnel isn't bad around. It's the trigger man that says, hey, listen, if you can disrupt that guy, maybe his timing's a little bit off or he misses a ball. There's a guy open, and it ends up just being a long foul ball, and you're like, oh, we lived through that one, and there's a lot of that going on. So I'm sure that they're working on their timing and doing all those kind of things. But it's also, listen, he's always the guy that you got to get after. I don't care if he's a dude that's played 800 games and he's, going to go to the NFL and be a first-round draft pick, or if it's going to be a guy who's, just starting up in the thing. You generally can disrupt a guy who's a little bit younger and hasn't had that experience. So hopefully we can get that done.
You guys face Trevor Hubbard, obviously. Right below him is Darius Anderson. What is it about Anderson that gives defenses trouble?
He's a hard runner, man. He's a guy that has really good vision. He can see a cut and make he can enter a gap and then kind of, okay, I see something and I can slide and bounce to it and hit it like that. And then, if you tackle him high, if you get too high on him, he gives you issues because he's strong. I know he doesn't look huge in stature, but he's a strong guy that runs, and if you get high, he's going to drag you for a few. If you don't wrap him up, if you try to blast him, he's got good enough bounce where he's just going to keep going. So we've seen that enough on tape, and we show as many of those clips as we can because we've had those issues ourselves.
What did you guys need to do better against Baylor?
Yeah, I think it goes down to just big plays again. I mean, you look at everything, just the amount of explosives we're giving up right now. Those are things that we look at as a staff and say, okay, hey, what are the things that are really hurting us? Well, explosives. Okay, now why are those happening? Well, there's some things where we're still learning defense. Hey, like we talked about the first thing, leverage. How do you work tackling without? Well, we're too wide in the gap, and someone else is filling another gap, and already got closed, so we're going to go make another play, and then we knock a guy off, and there you go, the ball spits for 35. You get tackling issues. You know what I mean? The guy goes and, hey, he's next to the sideline, so yes, I can knock him out of bounds, but I don't wrap and squeeze, and the guy spins off and goes for another. Those big plays are what hurting us. And it's not so much the big plays. The ones that you say, listen, they threw a fade to 5. Okay, that's going to happen. A guy's going to get beat one-on-one every once in a while. Those aren't the ones that you're worried about. It's the ones that you're like, okay, hey, here's a play that we had 2 guys at the point of attack and through something as fundamental is just having great leverage on a guy and understand what angle I tackle him at. I knock a different guy off, and now we went from having 2 guys there to none, and our free safety has to make it for a big gain. That's not exactly what you want, and those are the plays we need to stop having. You know, the explosives that it's, hey, listen, they ran a route off a scramble, and a guy leaked through, and they got, okay, those are going to happen in a game. Those are acceptable things, you know. But between that happened a little bit too much in the Baylor game with our rush not being together, you know, which allowed the quarterback to extend plays. They got a few too many explosives there. And then, you know, just those things that we're talking about. We're still learning the defense, and we're at a spot where we say, listen, we need to start maturing in this defense and get to football 201 where we can start to make those plays. And then no one notices them. You know, you say, okay, hey, knocks it down. Okay, it's a 2-yard gain. Great. Everyone's happy, you know. So we just need to keep working on those things. And we've tried to this past week or 2, I guess.
How difficult is it just to keep the enthusiasm up when you had back-to-back losses and then a bye week?
Yeah, you know, I think it's one of those things that, you know, this is what we do. You know what I mean? They're football players and we're football coaches. I don't know that you can say, okay, is a team ever going to lose 2 games again? Probably. You know, there's a lot of teams out there with a worse record than 3-2. You know, so I mean, if we were 0-5, you would say, okay, hey, it might be hard, but I think it's a deal where you're saying, listen, there's some good things we've done. You know, there's some things you look at and you say, all these plays are good plays. You know, we have these handful of plays that are really bad plays. So if we can clean these up, it's not that far away. But it's also a deal where you can say on these really good plays, it happened here too. Just no one noticed because someone else made a play. It happened here too, you know, so you can point out those things. And I think that the guys, they do learn, whether it's right or wrong, people learn better from losing. It's a proven fact, and it's true with our team too. You know, they're more in tune to it. You tell them the same exact thing. You know, it's like coaching your kids. Sometimes you can tell your kids some damn thing, and then all of a sudden they go out and they see a coach and he tells them something, and then they do it. I don't know why. It's the same thing that happens with us. You know, you tell them after a win, they're like, okay, yeah, we won. Okay, you do it after a loss, and they pay attention to it a little bit more. So hopefully it's sinking through.
Trying to word this right. Would you say in the last couple of losses
Yep.
that you've had more of those issues where you said, hey, this was something we got lucky and the play didn't burn us? I guess I'm trying to say, did you just get exposed more for those in the last 2 losses, or were they happening in the first 3 games about the same?
No, yeah. I mean, there's some things we got away with in the first few games too that you would say, hey, you know, but the same mistakes, you know, you can coach off of, hey, we made this mistake here, okay. Let's work on that. And you can get some guys fixed, and some guys are like, yeah, and then they might make the same mistake. Okay, well, when it happens to you in a loss, guys are a little bit more tuned in, and then when you're doing it in an individual, they take better care of it to really accelerate and try to work on that fact, you know. And so is it gonna be a deal where our guys know this defense, you know, overnight and have a sweet I shall hope so. I hope they just mature and it's like they're in the 3rd year in the program. But is that going to happen? I think we're still going to have some growing pains, you know. I mean, be realistic about it. But I think hopefully we got some of the issues cleaned up and we can play better.
Noticed Kenyon Reed wasn't on the roster anymore. Did he give you guys any reason for?
You know, I don't know. You know, that was a weird one. I don't know. It was one of those things that I just heard yesterday after the locker room, so I don't know all the details in it, you know, yet. So maybe a boss man question. I don't know.
Gotcha.